Hello and welcome to Totally Connected, your window into New Zealand's tech frontier, brought to you by Entelar Group, the total connection company covering distribution, integrated end-to-end supply chain, IT field delivery and services, and more. I'm Jonathan Cotton. Thank you for joining us. Today, we're delving into Entelar Group's partnership with New Zealand's premier professional football club, Wellington Phoenix. To do that, I'm joined by Entelar Group CEO, our very own Rajesh Singh, as well as David Dome, CEO of Wellington Phoenix. Now, David has been instrumental in shaping the Phoenix into not just a competitive A-League team, but also a pretty powerful force for community good. You might have heard of the fantastic Football for All program they run. In this episode, we're going to be talking about this partnership, where it comes from and where it's going. We're going to be discussing how the values of these two groups align, and we're going to be talking through some of the parallels between building high-performing teams in business and in sports. Lots to discuss, so let's kick off. Welcome, Raj and David. David, why don't we start with you? Maybe you can give us a little bit of your background, tell us a little bit about what football means for you, and how you came to be at the helm of Wellington Phoenix.
Sure, sounds good. So I started off in financial services out of university, went to school in Wellington, grew up in Palmerston North, went to school, played football most of through my youth. Was okay, wasn't great, played for the Manawatu, went to New Zealand trials, but by the time I was a teenager, there wasn't really a pathway like there exists now, of course. So it was very difficult to take your career too much further. Spent a bit of time overseas, as New Zealanders do, came back, ended up in financial services, and then the role as the marketing manager came up at Wellington Phoenix. I had a background of strategic marketing, both at Westpac and at Fujitsu leading into that, and was given that job, which was the second year of the Wellington Phoenix. So I missed the first year with David Beckham, came on the second year, did a couple of years under the previous owner, Terry Serapisos, and then when he went under, Wellington Ownership Group took over in 2011, and in 2012 was appointed the general manager, and have been there ever since.
Nicely put, David. Very concise. Now, just before we move on to Raj, tell me, since you've been in the role, what's it been like? Has it been all you expected? Oh,
it's completely different. We're a different club to what we were, even 3 or 4 years ago. And since Wellnix, which is Rob Morrison and a few of the other owners have come on board, they've seen the long-term potential and the community benefit for a professional football club in Wellington and New Zealand, now being joined by an Auckland one, of course. But they were well ahead of the curve in that respect and really wanted to do something for the community, something for Wellington and something for New Zealand in sports. And jumped on board when I think it was initially Lloyd, which is Rob's older brother, who unfortunately passed away from leukemia about 6 months into owning the Phoenix. So I never saw them live, watched it from his hospital bed in Seattle. And then Rob took over the chair on Lloyd's passing. And really the club's gone from strength to strength. We had one team in the old days, right back in 2011, 2012. The Wellness Ownership Group quickly decided to build out an academy, saw the need for a youth development arm. The academy's gone through a few iterations and is now firmly established. We now have 8 teams in the academy, 5 boys and 3 girls teams. And we're looking at expanding that as well. And we're looking at expanding to a whole lot of different arms as well. And yeah, it's a completely different beast to what this club was even 5 or 6 years ago. It continues to grow, continues to add players and staff as we want to build out the program to be a really financially sustainable, which to be fair is not at the moment. Still requires support from the owners and key corporate partnerships, but it all helps. It all helps makes us deliver what we can deliver on the field.
Beautifully put, David. All right, now turning to Raj. Now, Raj, you've been on the podcast before, so many of our listeners will already know a little bit about your background. But just for those who might be tuning in for the first time, tell us a little bit about your background in technology and a little bit about your history with football.
Thanks, Jonathan. So I was actually born in South Africa and immigrated here to New Zealand in 2009. Started my career mostly in the financial sector and worked in telecommunications for over 30 years. Played a lot of football when I was a kid and grew up watching English football. Growing up in South Africa, the major focus sports was mostly cricket and rugby. So football wasn't really a thing. When I got into New Zealand, sort of coached my son into getting involved in football, and he loved football growing up from a little kid supporting the same team as I did. played for various clubs and schools, and I've been his supporting or biggest fan since we've been in New Zealand. Got involved with New Zealand football a couple of years ago. I sit on the board of New Zealand football in the Exco, and hope to be providing some level of giving back to the footballing community through my work and efforts through New Zealand football.
Great. Well, I guess the next logical question is, when the opportunity for Entelar to partner with Phoenix came up, was that a no-brainer for you, Raj? Did you just jump at the opportunity?
Absolutely. Because I grew up, playing and loving football, and when the opportunity did come up, it was something that I absolutely took on board and just wanted to be part of something that I really loved and have a massive passion for as well. So when the opportunity came up, I absolutely went for it. And, thanks to the support of David, who encouraged me to go for it, I was able to get into New Zealand football.
Okay, nice. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts here. What are the mechanics of the relationship between Entelar Group and Wellington Phoenix? Now, I know this stems from a former partnership with Spark, but what's different this time around?
The partnership started as a collaborative partnership between Spark and Oppo with Wellington Phoenix, and it was born out of an idea where we wanted to sort of create an awareness of the Spark Oppo brand through sport. And Oppo is a great partner of us, both from Spark and Entelar Group perspective as well. And when the opportunity did come up, and David and I spoke with the Oppo team, it was something that resonated to both us and the Wellington Phoenix in terms of getting in touch with our fan base that was based across New Zealand and not just in a single city as well. We felt that Wellington Phoenix created a really good platform for both Spark and Oppo to be able to connect with its customers through sport and through a different channel rather than the traditional channels. When David and the team and I spoke about it initially, we thought it was a great idea for us to be participating in it. The values that Wellington Phoenix as a team portrayed through its history resonated very well with both Spark and the Oppo teams in terms of enriching lives through the work that the Wellington Phoenix does with its community. And we felt that there's a role for us to be playing in helping Wellington Phoenix achieve those goals that they had.
Yeah. And, speaking of those goals, David, given that Wellington Phoenix has this community focus, how common is that with, comparable sports groups of a similar size? This focus on community projects, is that common?
It's hard to comment on how it would compare to other football clubs, but look, it certainly is a huge part of what Wellnix want to do with the club, and it. And like as Raj was talking about it, it resonates very strongly with staff as well. Like the ability to give back to the community, whether that be amongst our Football for All program, which is about refugee communities, recent refugees to New Zealand, or our own community program that we run through the club with player appearances and charity support and fundraising and all that sort of stuff. That we have we employ our person, and that's their job is to work in the community, and to live the Phoenix values. And to push those out into the community and be part of that. And so we do that not only in Wellington, and we've, Raj has talked about that. We are nationwide, and until, not even, Auckland hasn't even started yet, but, we still are a nationwide brand. We are the highest profile football brand in the country alongside the All Whites and the New Zealand football. But we have tentacles across the whole country. We, certainly down here in Wellington, but up into Auckland, of course, with our games that we used to play at Eden Park. And of course, we'll continue to play games in Auckland with the new Auckland franchise. We've announced a 3-year relationship with Canterbury. So we'll play games in Christchurch every year. And we have an outreach program or a talent development program which spans the whole country, which is an alignment with New Zealand football, where we identify the talent coming through the system and we support them. But coming back to the community program, it is very, very important, and it is a directive from the board is to continue to support the community program and indeed invest into it. So, as we've talked about, the Phoenix doesn't make profit. It continues to be supported by the owners, but they've said they continue to support the community program because it's important to what we do. And it aligns very strongly with our values, which is, about supporting youth development in New Zealand and supporting New Zealanders.
Yeah. And so how does having, top tier partners like Entelar Group contribute to that strategy? What's the benefit?
Well, the reality is that we wouldn't exist, without the major sponsors that we've got being what used to be Spark and now Entelar and Oppo, and then the supporting sponsorships and McDonald's, Budget and Chemist Warehouse, as well as a variety of other ones. I mean, there would be no club without those partnerships. Let's be really clear with that. And so the club and the owners are, very, very thankful that we have those partnerships. And I say this whenever we meet with commercial partners or we meet with commercial bodies, that we have blue chip partners. I mean, these are high profile, extremely strong balance sheet, partners that we've partnered with. And that makes a massive difference when you go out to the market and you're looking for an ongoing either community sponsorship or community partnership or a commercial sponsorship. And then you look at our suite of partners that we have. That's very encouraging for any new partner coming on board to be part of that coterie.
Yeah.
So very, very thankful of those relationships and what it means for us as a football club. And like I say, wouldn't exist without it. And it also helps in the community programs as well, of course, because it does allow us to spend some time in the communities. And a number of those partners, including, in fact, all of those major partners help us activate on the ground at game day and in the community. And you'll see activations, whether you're kicking balls or giveaways that we do at the game day that are supported by those partners. And that makes a massive difference, especially to the youth. Kids love nothing like a free giveaway for a child at a football match, and it does encourage them to come back to our games, of course, which makes it better for the club too.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Raj, last time we were speaking, you mentioned that setting up this partnership was just smooth sailing. What advice would you have for other corporates looking at partnering with groups like Wellington Phoenix? What advice would you have for them, and what makes this relationship so good from your perspective?
From the outset, the foundation of this relationship was built on great partnering principles. The goals that both Phoenix and Oppo and the EGL as well, we're all aligned up front, and we all went into this with a really good, strong partnering mindset. And the conversations in terms of achieving what we needed to achieve were really easy to get through because of the really good alignment up front.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that we are always having partnering conversations, never have to refer back to any contracts or any paperwork. Everything is done with the best intentions from all parties at all times.
Smooth sailing so far. That's good to hear. David, from your perspective, have you learnt anything from this partnership so far?
Oh, it's been fantastic for us. Again, the credibility in the market when you have blue chip partners as your partners, whether that's Oppo or Spark now, Entelar, makes such a difference. And, it now means we can go to market and we can add new partners to us with ease because of the existing relationship that we have with our own partners. We've done stuff with Entelar on the ground in terms of activations around game days. We've done stuff with fans. We've done alignment with fans in terms of offers for a B2C market under the old days with Spark and with Oppo. It just can go in so many different directions. And the thing is with Entelar it's now a leading company in New Zealand for new technology. And I think the exciting thing for us as a brand is because you always want to evolve your brand. You always want to be, where are we going to go next? What's important to our fans? What's important to the country? And the difference that Entelar is making in smart technology and the difference that company's going in, we'd love to be part of that. And how can we as a brand be part of that and part of this new evolving economy in New Zealand? And, we're looking at all sorts of things like how do we get involved in smart technology? How do we get them reducing our carbon footprint? Do we look at solar panels and at our academy? Do we look at how we can do things differently in our back end? I mean, there's lots of exciting ways that I think we can leverage off Entelar's world-leading technology and IP, and that's the thing that we're looking forward to as we start this new chapter with Entelar.
Yeah, great. And we'll circle back to the technology side of things in a minute, but one thing that we really want to sort of put up front here is Wellington Phoenix's community programs, particularly the Football for All program. Now, for people who don't know, Wellington Phoenix runs significant community programs, both locally in Wellington and nationwide. David, can you elaborate on Wellington Phoenix's community programs, how they've evolved over the past 9 years, particularly the Football for All program, and what you guys do?
Yeah, I mean, we're very, very proud of Football for All. It's now it's multi-cold, it's multidisciplinary. We have a number of partners. It has around about 2,500 young people that support it. And how it started off was just in Wellington, where we wanted to help New Zealanders to Wellington, essentially refugee families, help them assimilate into the local community. And we thought, well, what better way than football? Because a lot of them are football-first countries they're coming from. And we started putting them into clubs, and we learned a lot in the initial years. It's not just about paying for their subs, which we do, of course. We pay for subs, and we've bought them gear and boots. New Balance, we provided the boots through our partnership with New Balance. And then we continued to expand it. We found that, well, that's good. But what was a real need was picking up and taking the kids to and from trainings and to and from football on a Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon. So then we started employing people that would pick them up and coordinate that part of their lives, because obviously mum and dad sometimes are working and they couldn't do this sort of stuff. So we started employing people to do that. And so it got big very, very quickly. And then Capital Football, which is our local federation, came on board in a bigger sense. We'd already started to migrate the program to Mangere Refugee Centre, which is the main in South Auckland, which is the main site for, in fact, it's the only site for refugees when they come into New Zealand for the first time. That's where they all go. They all start off at Mangere Refugee Centre. So we decided that, well, rather than do it in Wellington, let's centre it there. And so that every new refugee coming into New Zealand would then go, wow, where are you going in New Zealand? And we'll follow the family, as opposed to wait till they get to Wellington or wait till they get to Canterbury, or wherever they are. So wherever these children end up, we then put them in contact with a local coordinator who then works them into the local football community. And that's all around New Zealand. So we've got, and it's futsal and football. So futsal is the biggest growing sport in New Zealand, very, very popular with youth. So like I say, we've got 2,500 young people in this program now, and it's just growing. And, of course, the Wellington Phoenix started it, but it's now, like I say, multidisciplinary, and it's all the football federations in New Zealand, New Zealand football federations that are involved. We have New Zealand Police, the Red Cross, Change Makers. It's supported by trust funding from NZCT and Up Foundation. And just it's an amazing, amazing program. And it's just got a life of its own now. And to a certain extent, we're just there supporting it. We contribute financially. Lloyd Morrison Trust, one of the major sponsors of it, supporters of it. And we just sort of guide it. But now it's almost got a life of its own. And it's just growing and growing. And now we're considering, do we go into other codes? Do we look at other codes that are particularly things like basketball? Do we look at basketball? Do we look at cricket? Do we look at other ones where we can be, the facilitator to help assimilate these new New Zealanders into their local community? Very, very proud of it. It's now way bigger than just the Wellington Phoenix, but it's an incredible program, and like I say, something we're very proud of. And again, it works because of support from our major partners who are all part of it at one level or another. They've gifted things to the program, or they help us facilitate it. So it's a huge success.
Just a brilliant program. I love it. And Raj, that nicely aligns with Entelar Group's focus on community enrichment as well, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely correct, Jonathan. So, football resonates with everybody. Resonates with our teams here at Entelar Group, resonates with our partners, our customers, our suppliers. And when we think about how do we play a role in enriching these communities, Wellington Phoenix is one of those key platforms for us to work with in terms of how could we provide support, in terms of building out facilities across the country and supporting the different federations. And how could we use the technology? How could we use the skill sets we have at the Entelar Group to help create this platform and partner the Wellington Phoenix to enrich people's lives? And that's what makes us so excited about this partnership.
Fantastic. Football is just the universal, social solvent, isn't it? Everybody loves the game.
It's a real, it's one of the things that football does bring, and Raj was spot on. So many of our partners use us as a tool to get to markets or get to decision makers or corporates, or just get to the community and just give something back. And our program has taken us, that Football for All is probably 5, maybe 6 years old now. But it's like I say, it's got a life of its own, and it just grows, and it's an easy way to be part of giving back to the community.
Yeah, fantastic. There's, a huge alignment between Wellington Phoenix and Entelar Group when it comes to this sort of community enrichment idea. Something else that, you've both mentioned in the past is important to you is, your approach to team culture. Maybe we could talk a little bit about the process of sort of teasing out and defining, culture and values, both, in a sports club and in a business. I mean, what are some of the key insights or challenges that you've encountered, David, during this process?
Well, we're a business just like Entelar is. We have to build teams, build relationships, and drive value for our owners in that regard. And over the last 5 or 6 years, we've been doing a lot of work in mission and vision and values and what we stand for as an organisation. And sports kind of is funny in that often it's that little bit of difference, or a little bit of something that someone else doesn't have that makes a difference on the field. That last 5% in the last 90 minutes can get you across the line. And so we've spent a lot of time getting to the bottom of who we are as an organisation. What do we believe in, and that's that's reflected in our community program. But we've done a lot of work with local Mana Whenua, which is Te Atiawa here in Wellington, and brought it back down to what does it mean to be a true Wellington and New Zealand brand. And you'll see that reflected in a lot of our imagery now. So it's taken a long time. It doesn't happen quickly, but we've got to, understanding, in Te Reo, what you'd call the whakapapa, or what it is you stand for, what's your place in the world. And we've done a lot of our, for want of a better term, our origin story. So what does Wellington stand for? What do we as a club reflect? And so our imagery, which you see in our tohu, which is on our shirt, which is a design that's been gifted to us by Te Atiawa, reflects the origin story in Maori mythology about Wellington Harbour. So the two taniwha that lived in Wellington Harbour, one was a hard-working taniwha and one was a lazy taniwha. One escaped Wellington Harbour, and that's how the mythology is. It used to be a lake, and that's how Wellington Harbour was created. And the other taniwha, the lazy one, was grounded on Mount Victoria, and that's how Mount Victoria came out of the ground. And then that taniwha rose to the heavens and with a cry, and that's what our Rio Te Keo, it means on our badge, which reflects the aspiration to be better. You've got the hard-working taniwha, which is work hard, trained hard, and escaped and reached his goals. And you've got the other one that was lazy but aspired and worked hard and then rose to the heavens. And that's kind of what the values are for us as a Phoenix, is the value of hard work, the value of working together as a team, and also understanding what roots us into our community, which is our whakapapa, which is our relationship with Te Atiawa. And it's going, and it continues to grow and going off a whole lot of different directions. But when we recruit people, both on the field as players and as staff members, we recruit to those values. The ability to work as a team, to work hard, to aspire to be better each day. And when we talk to people, those are the values that we reflect back to them and ask them to be part of that culture if they want to come on board.
Yeah, and that must resonate with you, Raj. I mean, you and I have spoken at length about your focus on building high-performing teams. You must definitely see some parallels there, yeah?
I love using the analogy of building teams and using sport as a platform to do that. We recently had a team day, and we had Chiefy come in and talk to the entire Entelar Group team about, the work that he does on the field and off the field, and that it takes a team to operate in unison rather than individuals trying to just do things by themselves. And that should work in any organization. It's all about teaming and how do you build great, high-performing teams to build successful organizations. And for us, that resonates really well. Building over a period of time and creating, good teams and good leaders to lead out on these teams are just as important for us as well. And example the chief used was having senior people in the team lead and mentor new players that are coming into the team, and how they bring them up and, get them to be performing at their best resonates just as much in the business world.
Mm.
Having those leaders drive the best possible outcomes of individuals is what resonates really well with us. So that whole teaming, cohesion between whether it's the Phoenix or whether it's in the Entelar business resonates well with each other because we have the same values when it comes to teaming and building high-performing teams as well.
Nicely put, Raj. Great. So, just changing tack a little bit here. As we know, Entelar Group is one of New Zealand's premier technology companies. What role is technology going to play in this partnership and in football in general? What can we expect in the future?
technology is becoming more and more in all of our lives. It's inevitable that technology is becoming and become only more and more important. And as a club, we're constantly working with data on player data, analysing data from all walks of life, right? It's crucial to get the best out of your people. And what we're really excited about with this new partnership now going forward is, mentioned it before, is where can we take this in terms of building the company, building the club off the field into something really special. And one of the things that I've flagged to the team here is how do we become carbon neutral? How does the Wellington Phoenix become the first carbon neutral club in the A-Leagues? What do we need to put in place? Now, that's not our area of expertise. That's Entelar's areas of expertise, and we'll be leaning heavily on them to be going, well, what does it need to look like? Now, we have some pretty big initiatives in the pipeline that will change the landscape again for football in this country if we can pull them off. But it only really makes sense if we partner with Entelar in the space and what it actually would mean for the club going forward. So whether it's design or good luck, I mean, the way some of these things, the synchronicity in the relationship is incredible. And the opportunity going forward could be, again, we could build something that doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. And we're genuinely excited to have a partner like Entelar on board that we could only do it with them. We couldn't do it without anybody else.
Yeah. And Raj, solar pops into my mind when we're having this conversation. Are there any plans to do anything around solar technology?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to build on, David's thoughts on technology and networking, all of the connectivity that runs in the background to empower the team in terms of creating all of the data, all of the connectivity is something that, we work well with the Phoenix on. But when it gets to the solar component of it, that's something that we're really keen to work on, understanding the value we can bring to the Wellington Phoenix or to football in general, is how do we create an environment, again, where we can allow, facilities to be self-sustaining and using solar or other technology as well. And leveraging off our sort of parent holding company's wider sustainability goals, we can bring some of that core capability in supporting the Phoenix achieve some of its carbon neutral goals as well.
I mean, as an organisation, we just reflect back to the community what's important to them. And what is important to them is solar, EVs and charging. And, how do we be part of that, even though it's not our core space? Having a partner like Entelar, where it is their core and they are world leaders in this, and then how do we reflect that back to our base so the fans go, this is a club I want to be associated with because they're at the cutting edge and they want to do what's right for the. We've got this amazing community program over here. How do we have an amazing environmental program over here to supplement that?
Yeah, great. And Raj, from Entelar Group's perspective, what are those potential areas for growth and collaboration? How would you like to see this partnership sort of evolve beyond just maybe traditional sort of sponsorship type stuff?
Yeah, so 3 things come to mind, Jonathan. One is technology focused. We know that the Wellington Phoenix is really technology focused and has got a passion for that. And we play a massive role in helping them achieve greatness through world-leading technology. People in leadership for us is quite important as an organization. We'd see the same coming through the Wellington Phoenix. So we'd like to explore a little bit more on how we can collaborate better in terms of that area. And then lastly, around carbon neutral and sustainability. How do we empower communities? How do we work closer with each other to help drive that carbon neutral goal that the Wellington Phoenix has? And I think Entelar Group has got a massive role to play in supporting the Wellington Phoenix and the communities thrive in that area.
Yeah, of course. And does Entelar Group have, a growing appetite for forging these sorts of partnerships?
That's one of the things that we've been focusing on quite heavily over the last couple of months, Jonathan. That's something we'll continue to focus on with. Having the Wellington Phoenix as a partner to drive some of that is something that excites us quite a bit. So absolutely, yes.
Yeah. And I'd imagine for you, David, and for Wellington Phoenix, you'd hold a similar position, yes?
For the Wellington Phoenix, we exist because of the philanthropy of our owners who essentially run a charitable organisation on a massive scale, and for our connection and our relationship with our key partners, of which Entelar has been for many years now in various forms. been right up there in terms of a partner, both on and off the field. So it is the club's great thanks that goes out to Raj and his team, and there are a number of people in his team who have been key in pulling this latest arrangement together and partnership together, but also to all the Entelar staff. And we know that there are many, many fans of the Phoenix and the staff out there that come to our games, whether that be Wellington or Auckland, and hopefully Christchurch going forward, and around the country when we are in the regions, and who buy the shirts and wear the shirts and follow the club, even following it on social media, all makes a massive amount of difference. So, our thanks go out to the entire group and everything they do. And like I say, we're very, very proud to partner with Entelar as a front of shirt partner. And the fact that what that brand stands for, being the cutting edge technology, because that alignment of brands is worth gold, because it positions us as a club that's on the cutting edge, that is at the leading edge of technology, that is at the leading edge of environment and carbon neutral technology, and sustainability. And that to us is very, very important. And we're at the very beginning of our journey in that pathway. And we're really excited about that direction of where it can go.
And there you have it, folks. That's a wrap. Thank you, Raj and David, for taking the time to talk to us today. And thank you, dear listener, for tuning in again. If you like what you've heard here, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you've got any feedback, topic ideas, or something else to get off your chest, please do drop us a line. I'm Jonathan Cotton. This was the Totally Connected podcast, brought to you by Entelar Group, the Total Connection Company. Till next time, thanks for listening.